Hi, and welcome to Libby Presents Ghost News Network. Today is a very special day. See, you thought I was going to run into my regular routine. But this is the 100th episode of Question of the Week. This is the first video that started our new tour of videos on YouTube. When we began, our first video was Question of the Week, and we've been running ever since for almost 2 straight years now. So September will be 2 years, so yeah.
Wow.
What do you got? What's our 100th question? It better be good.
Well, I wanted it to be something special and near and dear to all of our hearts. And I know we all very much enjoy talking about our own experiences and whatnot. So, for our 100th question, I ask everyone, what is the best evidence you personally captured and or experienced?
Oh man. For me, it's, and I'll never forget it, September 7th, 2006. That's the date. Mount Missouri Road, Site 2. I'll never forget that night. It was a group of 10 of us. It was the first time ever going into Site 2. And I remember, parking right out there, crossing over the, the dead-end log, and you walk down that pathway. And I was the last person in line. And as we were walking, I kept feeling like something was behind us watching us, and I would turn around and look, and I'd see a shadow person across the pathway. And I didn't say shit to the team. I didn't want to freak anybody out, me being the leader especially. And that happened a couple times, and as we kept walking, we kept getting some static sound over the walking. You just heard shh, shh, like that. And I really didn't think much of it, at that point. And then we get to, you keep walking down the main pathway, and then there's a spot where there's a red fire hydrant, and you can either keep going straight or there's another pathway to the right. And supposedly down that pathway to the right is where the supposed hospital used to be that got burnt down multiple times, and that's where a lot of the activity happened and so on and so forth. Right when we got to that spot, we got a voice that came over walkies that said, "They're here," and it said it twice. Everyone froze. We all froze, and it came through the walkies, and we were just like, holy shit. And it lasted for about 1 minute and 45 seconds, and this voice was saying, "They're here." It said, "Please let me out. I'm burning. I'm burning." And then at one point it said, "Woman." It was really weird. Just weird how it said it. We asked, "What is your name?" And we didn't ask through the walkie. We're just asking questions like you would EVP. And we asked, "What is your name?" Right after JM asked the question, we got a response. "My name is," and it cut out. I'll never forget that night. I will never, ever forget that night. It lasted for about 1 minute and 45 seconds. We kept investigating afterwards. Nothing happened for the rest of the night. And I remember, leaving that investigation site, going back home. Nobody wanted to go home. So we went back to the office, and we probably sat there for a couple of hours, probably, in awe, like, what the hell did we just capture? And playing it over and over and over again. And still to this day, when I play that, I remember exactly, that day. I'll never forget.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of experiences over the years, as you have,
Yep.
and stuff like that, but Site 3, 2013.
God.
That night was insane. We got EVPs, we saw shadow people together, we saw something we can't explain to this day, and just all the follow through that happened with that, and finding out that what we saw, Shannon picked up a name, and the drawings that we both drew without even talking to each other about what we witnessed, and it matching, and then it all just came together. And there's just something about that place. It's unlike anywhere else on the island that I've ever investigated. And I've had awesome experiences, but this was evidence stuff. This is stuff that we captured. I have EVPs of I call it a little child, but that creepy, scratchy voice. It's just trying to figure out what we're wearing on our bodies. That's the only way I can even think to describe it. And seeing that thing skitter across the ground and trying to make sense out of it,
Right.
when your brain can't even process what you're looking at. You know,
Smells on
the
top.
smells,
Rotten egg smell.
the blood, the taste of blood, the you know the copper taste. It's just, it was such an intense night, and it literally it affected all your senses.
Oh, yeah.
You saw, you heard, you smelled, you tasted. Like it was all over the place. So that has to have been the most intense night. But one of my favorite nights is you, me, and Brandon in Frank Melville Park, because that night too it was an investigation to remember. We lost time walking down that pathway.
That was wild.
We heard a woman around the red
The barn
that we were trying to find, see if she needed any help. And you know, we literally, the three of us literally sat there and we're like, you know, wouldn't it be cool if a shadow person just started charging us? And then within minutes, the three of us watched a shadow person charge us, stop, and then go back, and then charge us back. It wouldn't cross that threshold.
That threshold there.
Yep.
So weird.
Which is that opening right by where the sign is. It would get that close, and it would stop, and it would go back. And then we'd go to the mill, and then me, Mike, and Brandon we're just bullshitting at that point. And I see a white figure, solid, just walking across that pathway where the path was, across into the water. And as I see it, because I don't want to startle it and make it disappear.
Right.
So me, Mike, and Brandon, the three of us just watched this figure walk across the pathway and go into the water. And that night, for me, from a personal experience standpoint, is one of the best ones I've ever had, because all three of us were literally on it, you know? And then it was awesome.
The crazy thing about that too was, you know, we have all of our equipment out and we see this thing and the video camera goes like this, cameras went like this, and if you had any hand on, like literally
it shocked the shit out of you.
It wasn't like your typical like see-through apparition.
No.
This thing was solid. Like we seriously thought it was a person that went. When we first saw it, we were just like, holy shit.
Yeah,
and then
it was
just
jarring.
Walked right through the bushes into the water. We're just like, with no sound, like the bushes didn't go.
Nothing.
The water didn't go. We just looked at each other like, what the hell was that? Like, and how this only happened a couple of years ago. So you're talking like, you know, at that time, 15 years experience. What did you have at that point? 13 years experience. Brandon was, you know, he had about a good 3 or 4 years in. I mean, so it's not like we didn't have experience. So it's just stuff that we've been around things before, but we froze.
It was so
real. It was so real.
Yeah.
Like
it's
I can't explain.
You can't. And it's something that you can describe it as much as you want, but until you witness it yourself, it's not the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as Site 3, when we were there during the daytime, when we were walking out.
Oh my God,
and I'm looking straight down the pathway and I see this green figure. It's a green translucent figure that just crosses. It stops the pathway, looks my way. I almost blacked out. And then Dimitri was looking, I think, down.
I was writing,
and he was
mapping everything.
And he was just like, whoa. And I'm like, whoa. I'm like, yeah, you feel that? I'm like, I'm about to pass out. He's like, yeah, me too.
I can't see. That was the first thing I said to you.
We blacked out. Like, we couldn't see anything.
And it was like you hit I felt like I hit a physical wall.
Yeah.
Like I walked into something. Mm-hmm. And that was...
And we you know, we didn't fall down, we didn't pass out, but like you felt
it took a good 20 seconds to get our vision back.
You know, we were like, and you were like, what the fuck was that? And I'm like, did you see that? And you're like, no, I didn't see anything. I'm like, dude, I just saw something. And when we went there, because it was on our way out anyway, we looked on the ground for like any types of like prints or anything that would make some sense of it.
We stayed there an extra hour trying to figure out the fuck
couldn't figure anything out. And that was during the fucking day.
I'm not saying it was aliens.
But yeah, I'd say those stories that I would say like for me, Site 2, Site 3 is a thing with both of us, you know, and then Frank Melville. I mean, yeah, that's between us. Yeah, for us, that's it. I mean, what about you, Tom? I mean, that's a no-brainer. But go ahead.
I mean, thinking about personal, because you know, from personal experience standpoint, I mean, that's the stuff that you experience, and you know, the best personal experiences are the ones you share with other people because it validates you.
Right.
You know, when I think about, you know, Sheepester Park and seeing something stand in the field and Brandon walking up behind me and saying you see him too, unprovoked. Like that's a real personal experience. Or you know, Mount Misery, the time I thought I was walking behind you and I thought you stopped and was going to walk into you, and I stopped short And I thought I thought it was just me. And then Shannon goes, wasn't Mike just right in front of you? Like, so for Shannon to experience the exact same thing, so those experiences, those are great. But obviously, as far as evidence goes,
I think, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I really think we should reclassify those as collective experiences. Because they're not just personal, they're not for you. It's a group thing. It's like a collective experience. And I'm sorry to cut you off,
No,
but it's just something that like just started nagging at me.
Where do you go?
Yeah.
very good, like us in Halsey House with that metal noise that we both heard. We
I
both
know.
jumped out of our skin.
It was
so loud,
fucking
unexpected.
terrifying. Yeah, or with just that, not even just that, but like when we were in Roger's Mansion, you and me were getting jerked around the
Oh,
whole
yeah.
upstairs for the first episode of Real Ghost Hunting. You and me were getting jerked around upstairs. We were almost positive somebody was in that fucking.
All right, I remember that.
Almost positive.
And then your Roger story, I'm sure, definitely will never forget
I mean,
that.
that's my evidence. I mean, not only the experience, but to have it,
Right.
forever on audio, and to have a light bulb smash, on command almost.
And you weren't by yourself either.
No,
You
and I
Will
shared
was
that
on
with
the
Will,
other
too.
side. I mean,
Yeah.
that's,
And we were both pretty new to the group still at that point, so that was.
How long have you been in the group for?
2.5 years.
2.5 years, that's it. And
You've had
you've
experiences.
had
And you had your
Sure.
first experience.
Which-
how long into the group?
I mean, the light
It
bulb
was
was
weeks, months, maybe.
God,
months. That was probably about maybe 8-9 months in.
Oh, was that long? Oh wow, I thought it was pretty quick.
About that, yeah.
No, it's probably.
Because like my first experience with the group was in my second week investigating.
Yeah.
Like,
But and I tell everyone that too. Like, when people start, I'm like, you don't need to fake anything. Because if you fake something, it's not true. It's not here.
Right.
And you don't have to. It'll happen. It'll happen. Just wait for it. And you remember I told you that in less than a year you had bam, bam, bam. It was just like, what the fuck? Like I told you, we don't know fake shit. Shit happens.
100% true.
It's true though.
Okay.
James, what about you?
So as far as personal experience wise goes, I have my friend's house in Florida that I always like to tell, and I've told it a couple times, so I'm not going to rehash that. But recently, yeah, I know, thank you. I'm actually excited because it's finally like a big personal experience for me. And I hate to go back to Mount Misery Road, but you know what, ladies and gentlemen, it's Mount Misery Road, Site 3.
It's Mount Misery
And
for a reason.
we're going back. But we recently went there. It was me, Brandon, Shannon, Julie, and Steve. And it was kind of it was a hard night. It was it just felt heavy. And we were in a field, and we were doing solo walks down a path. And it was Julie's solo walk, so she went. And then Brandon is looking over here to my right, and then all of a sudden he comes over to me, and he says, dude, I just got choked out by a man. Like, somebody grabbed me and started choking me. And we're like, and then the feeling just got heavier, and Shannon started to get into one of her things, like she was just pissed. She just wanted to beat the shit out of the ghost that choked Brandon. And I'm like sitting there trying to get Julie's attention because she doesn't hear me, so I'm like shining my flashlight at her. Shannon goes chasing the ghost down this path. We all go chasing Shannon down the path, and we arrive at this point that I don't think any of us actually knew where we were in Mount Misery at that point. I don't think any of us had ever been there. And Shannon and Brandon stop, and they go, I think it wanted us here. I'm like, damn it. And they're like, it definitely wants us here. So we stayed there because at this point we didn't know where we were, we didn't know which path led out. And they start seeing something very similar to what Dimitri says, skittering across the ground. And all four of them see it. I don't see it. So I get like, whoa, I crouch down to the ground to see if I can see it better. And we're sitting there, and then all of a sudden I feel this ball of air form inside my lungs and just shoot out of me. And that's the best way I can describe it, because I've been punched in the stomach before, I've had the wind knocked out of me before. That was not this feeling. I literally felt the air form inside my lung, shoot out my throat, and I just tumbled backwards. I'm still like crouched down at this point. I tumble backwards. I'm choking and gagging. Like Shannon and Brandon are asking me what's wrong, what's going, and I can't answer them because there's no air left in me. So I'm trying to sit there and catch my breath. Finally, I catch my breath and like crazy. I literally the air just got taken out of me. It just got taken out of me. So it was crazy, and after that we let it on. Yeah. So that was very interesting.
It's crazy how similar some of these stories end
it
up
really
playing out
is.
without a lot of knowledge.
Yeah. As far as evidence goes, I've been tossing around two. One was in Second Maryland that I love this audio, and it's funny because I literally listened to this audio this morning just because I love it. Where we were at a grave site. It was a large burial ground where they just dump body after body in very small site just on top of each other. And I get this audio of a woman's voice, very raspy, going, "Help," and then a few seconds later, "Please let me die." And then immediately after that, me and Brandon, who was with me, start asking EVP questions of, "Do you need help? Can I help you with anything? Do you need medical?" Just unprompted, but I get the feeling like maybe subconsciously we heard that and just started asking questions like that. And then the other one I have was, again at Gettysburg, I believe Devil's Kitchen, where Shannon and Brandon are doing a PSB7 session. And I think I see something moving in the distance, so I go over there to look. And I get a little girl that says, "Come play with me," on an EVP. I don't actually hear it physically, but on the EVP I get, "Come play with me." In my head, I thought that was a RVP from their spirit box that I just happened to get. So when I played it for the group, and Shannon and Brandon are like, "No, we didn't get that. That's an EVP." It was kind of interesting because they were on the PSB7, they were communicating with a young girl. So it was interesting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Again, for me, it was in 2016, Mount Misery. Me and two or three friends, acquaintances, went there at we started at 8, and we got there at 9, and we left at 8. And we were going down, the path you said, over the log and down the...
So it's site 2?
Yeah,
Okay.
we're going down site 2.
Okay.
I'm in the back, and I keep hearing footsteps and stuff, so I turn around, I see a shadow person, or a shadow figure dart across, and another, and then another. I don't want to freak them out, and I'm like, "Hey guys, just keep an eye out for weird stuff." So I think we went down that one path that goes to the right.
By the fire hydrant?
Yeah. And it just the feeling gets more and more intense as we go on, and it's getting somehow darker and darker. Even though it was while we were walking down the road, you can clearly see a good portion of everything. Mm-hmm. And so I think we got all the way down to the end of the trail, or 3/4 of the way, and we just got hit with this intense smell of raging fire, something on fire burning. And so one of us goes, "We should go back," and now I'm in the front. I don't want to be in the front, so I'm like, "All right, screw this, I'll go to third to the back." And the whole time I'm hearing whispers behind me, and I'm not as close to where James is, but maybe to where that seat is.
Okay.
And I'm still hearing stuff between us. I'm like, "Are you hearing that?" They're like, "No, I don't hear anything." I'm like, "All right, this is getting weird." So we're going back towards where we came from, and right as we get over the log, it just pops off. I saw somebody walking next to my friend, and I'm like, "Is that Eric?" And he's like, "No, I'm over here." And Eric was to my left, and Brian was right behind me. I'm like, "Brian, walk in front of me just to make sure everybody's kind of gets straggled along." So as we're walking, I hear, "Hey," behind me, and I turn around and I see a girl lunge at me, didn't do that with her hand. And it freaked me out to the point where I stumbled backwards and almost knocked into somebody else who was stopped dead in front because they thought they saw someone standing in front of them. And so it's like, we're basically being surrounded. And the guy on the right of me was like, oh yeah, there's somebody standing next to me. I'm like, oh great, we're gonna die tonight. And so we just end up hightailing it out. And the whole car ride home, my friend's like, I just got this bad feeling, this bad feeling. And I'm like what? He's like, I just want to punch somebody in the face right now. Like, I'm just really, really, really angry. And it lasted all the way up until, I want to say, 30 to 40 minutes in the ride. Like, right until we got right up until my friend's house. And the second we pulled the driveway, he was like, no, I'm good. But I was scared he was going to punch me in the face the whole time.
Wow.
But that girl, seeing that girl lunge at me, like, fucking scared the piss out of me.
Right.
And she was dead. She looked dead as a doorknob, like laying in a grave for a while.
That's
Friendly girl, real friendly.
Nice.
Not Missouri Road.
It's always a good place to be.
I am.
If you're looking for ghosts, what do you guys think? And also, I just want to thank everybody that's followed us since the beginning and all these 100 videos. I really appreciate all the fans, all the haters, everybody. You make our content interesting, whether it's through comments, anything. So, just want to say we love you guys. Appreciate everything you're doing. If you haven't yet, you can give this video a like, share, and subscribe. You can also click the little notification bell to know when all of our content is uploaded to YouTube. So, thank you guys again for joining us, and until next time, take care, guys.